Well, they're in there. The whole gang.
So you were right.
Thought we were getting drowned for nothing, did you?
Listen to that cough of yours.
Spare me the bedside manner, Doctor.
I wish that's what it was. You shouldn't be out in this. I thought we'd agreed.
What? Tonight is the climax of 3 months' work, and you seriously expected me to stay at home with a warming drink. I'm fine.
When did you last eat a proper meal? Or get a decent night's sleep?
I tell you I can cope with it.
Do you think I don't know what you've been using to help you cope with it? Holmes! Holmes!
The Devil's Foot by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Dramatized for radio by Bert Coules. With Clive Merrison as Sherlock Holmes and Michael Williams as Dr. John Watson. And featuring Patrick Allen as Dr. Leon Sterndale, Geoffrey Beavers as the Reverend Roundhay, and Sean Arnold as Mortimer Tregennis. The Devil's Foot.
Just smell that air. The best medicine in the world.
Watson, I had no need of your medicines in London, and I have no need of them now, natural or otherwise.
Must I remind you that I'm the doctor?
The work has to be done.
Not at any cost. You might have died, Holmes.
Well, I doubt if the experience would have been noticeably different from the cure. Poldhu Bay? You're not content with dragging me to Cornwall. It has to be the furthest possible extremity.
Now, come on, confess it. It's the holiday you hate, not the place.
Perhaps.
Yes, I thought so. You like it here just as much as I do. And with good reason. It's magnificent.
Have you noticed how quickly the wind turns? There's 1 minute the water's sheltered and safe, the next it's treacherous. This whole bay is a death trap.
That's a gloomy sort of observation.
Look inland. A whole race of people lived here, and now they've vanished completely. Nothing left but a few burial mounds and stone monuments. The place encourages gloom.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it gloomy. Romantic, yes. It has mystery. If there are ghosts, then this is the place for them. I think it's inspiring.
You're not the only one to think so.
Huh?
So sterben wir ungetrennt. Einig, ohne End. Ohne Wachen, ohne Bangen. Namenlos, in Lieb umfangen.
That's beautiful.
It's by Wagner. Tristan and Isolde. Act 2. It's set here, on the Cornish coast.
What do the words mean?
They're a hymn to love.
There, you see. Romantic.
And to death. So let us die and never part, together for the rest of time. No more waking, no more fearing, nameless, endless, loving, sharing, existing only in each other, wrapped in love and death and darkness.
What a glorious day. Makes one glad to be alive. It's not often I can have the windows open this early in the year.
I thought Cornishmen were a hardy breed, Vicar.
Well, Doctor, I'm sorry to say that some of us are hardier than others. Isn't that so, Mr. Tregennis?
It is.
What about you, Mr. Holmes? Is our Cornish air to your liking? Oh, your cup's empty. More tea?
Thank you, no.
Another slice of seed cake, then.
Yeah, go on, Holmes. It's delicious.
It's a local speciality, a very old recipe.
Not at the moment, thank you.
Oh, just as you like. Perhaps later. I must say, when I heard you were staying here, gentlemen, it really did give me quite a thrill. I'm an avid reader of your work, Doctor.
You're very kind, Mr. Roundhay.
And the thought of actually meeting Mr. Holmes... Oh, and yourself, of course.
On holiday, are you?
Something of the sort.
Now, why else would they be here, Mr. Tregennis? Our little community has its faults, God knows, but serious crime is not one of them. Are you sure you won't take some more tea, Mr. Holmes?
It was extremely kind of him to invite us over.
He very nearly succeeded in boring me to death.
Oh, come on now.
It would at least have been a novel method of murder, to say nothing of disproving his comments about the purity of his parish. Yes, what did you make of Tregennis?
Just your typical taciturn Cornishman.
Yes, well, I dare say if I lodged with the Reverend Mr. Roundhay, I'd be subdued into silence, too.
Brace yourself. I think we're about to meet another of the locals.
Yes, and at least this one isn't wielding a teapot and a cake stand.
He hasn't seen us. Good afternoon. Hello? That's odd. I could have sworn he was coming this way.
So he was.
Someone else who likes his own company.
I fancy we've just had a distant glimpse of the local celebrity.
Leon Sterndale? You really think so?
Oh, he certainly has the build, and it would explain his less than enthusiastic response to your greeting.
Ah, it would. Good Lord. Dr. Leon Sterndale. I thought he was still in Africa.
Perhaps he's finally succeeded in killing every lion on the continent.
He does do other things. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't know half as much about the place as we do. Not to mention the scientific discoveries, the cultural information, the zoological work.
Please, 2 cases of rampant hero worship in one afternoon is more than I can stand.
Oh, sorry.
Now, you were supposed to be safeguarding my health, not endangering it. Mind you, murder by over-enthusiasm. I don't believe that's ever been done.
Really, Holmes, can't you keep your mind off death, even on a lovely day like this?
Savage daylight, harsh, deceitful, cursed day that burns forever. When will this light be gone? When will the night return?
Wagner?
Wagner.
Yes, I thought so. I recognize the sense of humor. Well, that's better. Now, come on. Let's get you back.
Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Roundhay, Mr. Tregennis, what's happened?
It's a special providence that you're here, Mr. Holmes.
That's right enough, sir.
What has happened?
Gentlemen, Mr. Holmes has been very ill. He's here to rest.
But, Doctor, the most extraordinary and mysterious affair has occurred.
When I left them last night, they were well and happy. This morning...
gentlemen, details!
Doctor, I appreciate your attitude, but Mr. Holmes, in all England, you're the one man we need.
Mr. Tregennis, how did you hear about this tragedy?
I was out for a walk before breakfast. I met Dr. Richards, and he was on his way there.
To Tredannick Water.
That's the name of the house.
Yes, he told me he'd been sent for. I went with him, naturally.
Did he know what was wrong at that stage?
No.
Who sent for him? Watson, why aren't you taking notes?
Holmes, you're not up to this.
Nonsense. Mr. Tregennis.
It was Mrs. Porter, the housekeeper.
She made the discovery.
She did, sir. And when I'd seen it for myself...
Well, the poor devil came back home to the vicarage, and I brought him straight to you. Oh, easy, Mr. Tregennis. You must forgive him, gentlemen.
I think you'll have to pull to the side, Vicar.
Doctor?
There's another carriage coming.
Oh, there. Oh, my lord. Mr. Tregennis.
It's all right, Vicar. I know who it is. Oh, God. George and Owen, my brothers. They're taking them to Helston, to the lunatic asylum.
The look on their faces. As if they'd seen some unspeakable horror.
My sister's face was the same, Doctor. Exactly the same. God rest her soul. This is the room. Mrs. Porter found the three of them here when she came down this morning.
Sitting round the table.
For all the world like they were still playing cards, she said.
And when you and the doctor arrived?
George and Owen hadn't made the least effort to move. And Brenda, of course...
Quite so. Stay there, please, while I examine the room.
Holmes, are you all right?
Yes, thank you. It's musty in here.
The smell of death. May the Lord grant her peace.
Mr. Roundhay, please, wait in the doorway.
Of course. Forgive me.
Yes, too many people have trampled their way through this room already. Come in. Now, Mr. Tregennis, you were here last night.
I was, Mr. Holmes. I supped here, and afterwards George suggested a hand or two of whist.
Did you call here often?
From time to time.
So, you were on good terms with the rest of your family. Was that always the case?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes, is this quite
Mr. Roundhay, do you wish me to investigate this business or not?
Holmes, sit down.
Very well.
That's better. Now, gentlemen, I suggest that you contact the local police. This is a matter for them.
Really, Watson, what can some inexperienced village constable make of this, eh? This is an exceptional case. Doctor?
Very well. But no undue exertion, mind.
No, certainly not. Thank you. Now, Mr. Tregennis.
Sir.
Be so good as to answer my question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes.
Your relationship with the rest of the family, Mr. Tregennis.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I can't deny that we were divided once.
Which is why you live separately and not in the family estate, even though there's more than enough room in this splendid old house.
Yes, sir.
The Tregennis family were tin miners, Mr. Holmes. They sold out to a company and there was, well, some feeling about the division of the money.
I see.
It was past and done with, all forgiven and forgotten, and we were the best of friends.
But why didn't you come back here?
I like my independence.
Yes, of course. Now, think back over yesterday evening. Does anything stand out in your memory? Think carefully.
There's nothing at all.
Your family were in their usual spirits?
Never better.
Were they nervous people? Did they ever seem afraid of anything in particular?
Nothing of the
Oh,
kind.
they were fine, upstanding members of the parish.
And nothing out of the common occurred while you were with them, Mr. Tregennis. Think.
Well,
Yes?
George? What's wrong?
I've dealt him another losing hand, that's what's wrong.
No, it's not that. I thought...
What, George?
I was sure I saw someone out in the lawn.
Where?
Can you see anyone, Mortimer?
I'm not sure. George?
No, can't see a thing now. I was certain...
No more old Napoleon for you tonight.
It passed as unimportant, and we went on with our game.
What time was this?
Oh, around 9:30, or 10 at the latest. I left soon after.
Who let you out?
Mrs. Porter had gone to bed. I let myself out.
Did you shut the front door behind you?
Of course.
Yes. This window, was it closed last night?
And fastened.
Who opened it?
Mrs. Porter, when she came in here this morning.
You asked her about it?
She mentioned it, said she wanted to let in some air.
Perfectly understandable, surely.
Yes, a pity nonetheless. No matter. So, there were no signs that any stranger came into the house last night.
None whatsoever.
What were your brothers and sister doing as you left, Mr. Tregennis?
Just starting one last hand. George was for going to bed, but Brenda insisted. Oh, God, if she hadn't been so wide awake, she might still be alive.
Oh, don't torment yourself so, my friend.
Oh, my apologies, gentlemen. I'm not myself.
I'm sure we can make this as brief as possible for you, Mr. Tregennis.
Certainly. Now, who was sitting where?
I had my back to the window. George was opposite me, Owen there, and Brenda on my right, next to the fire.
Why was... Excuse me. Why was there a fire at this time of year? The room isn't large.
But the night was cold. It rained, you recall.
Yes, of course.